Hi, I'm Wyatt Groth, the owner of Hammersmith, and today I want to talk to you about some important changes we're going to be making to how we sell American oak handrail. So American oak obviously is an American species, hence the name. And prior to this timber being used in Australia, what was very commonly being used is Victorian ash or Australian oak or Tasmanian oak. It runs under a few different names. But there's been a number of changes within the industry which has resulted in a number of issues which are occurring with the Victorian ash. The issues are mainly to do with the logging allocation. So governments here in Australia have changed the logging allocation for Victorian ash, and as a result of that, what's happening is the logs are just not being available because the governments have locked down a number of the forests. That's fair enough, that's their decisions, and we have no control over that. The end result of that though is that there's still a demand for timber, and there's been a bit of a push from Victorian ash towards Tasmanian oak, but obviously the resource in Tasmania is not huge, and as a result of all of this, the overall amount of Australian oak, if you want to call it that, available is diminishing, and it has been diminishing over the last few years. So what we've been finding, because it's been a big part of our business and what we've been using, is we just can't get the material like we once were able to do so. But not only can we not get the material, the quality of the material is not as good. So the industry, the timber industry, has realised this is a problem and realised this is happening, and then their end result of this is to look for alternatives. And the alternative that seems to be the preferred option is American red oak. It's also known as glacial oak, but American red oak, as distinct from American white oak, is a timber that is not too dissimilar in colour to the Victorian ash, and from a grain structure point of view is pretty similar also. So it's a good alternative in the industry. So as I said, what we've been finding is that the Vic ash has been decreasing in quality, and the American oak is a good alternative. And that has worked out brilliantly, except for one big issue, the length. And this issue is really important in the stair industry, which is why we are looking to change our handrails from Victorian ash to American oak. So what's the issue? Well, as I said, length is the issue. So when we buy packs of Victorian ash, we would get anything ranging from say 1 metre through to 5 metres. And that was fine for us, because what we used to do was when the timber came into our yard, we would cut it accordingly. And anything say 2.5 metres and under, we would put that aside, and we would put that into other products which length was not very important with. And therefore anything 2.5 through to say about 5 metres and a bit longer, we would run into our handrails. So when customers purchased handrails from us, we were always able to say, look, we can give you a really good selection from 2.5 through to 5 metres. And if someone was buying 100 metres of rail, they knew they were going to get quite a few long lengths, which is really important, as I said, in the stair industry. The problem with the American oak is it just doesn't come in those lengths. So generally speaking, you may get a pack which has a 4 metre piece in it, but the vast majority of packs are 3.6 metres and less. And that presents a big problem for the stair industry, because a lot of stairs, if you've got a straight run of stairs, you're going to need a 4.8 metre piece minimum for that straight run. So that's a problem. So suddenly the timber mills are offering American oak, but they can't offer the lengths that stair builders need. And so at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Well, your only option is to join handrail end for end to give you the length you want. So knowing this was an issue, we decided to do something different. And with the American oak, we spoke directly to the mill and said, look, could you finger joint American oak for us? And they said, yes, we can. So we thought, let's give it a run. So we purchased some American oak finger jointed, 5.4 metre lengths, and we ran it. And what I wanted to show you today is the end results of this particular product. And this is what we've got here. So the 5.4 metre lengths of American oak means that you, the customer, can buy your handrail in a set length, which is really important. So imagine you said to me, look, we want to order 100 metres of American oak handrail off you. We can supply you with 20 lengths at 5.4 that you can bring into your factory, and then you can cut it up into whatever the handrail lengths you want, which is really important because it reduces the wastage that you will get because you've got better recovery from the material due to the long lengths. But what I really wanted to show you was the quality of this. So when you have a look at this American oak handrail, what you can see is the finger joining, but the well color matching. So what I mean by that is you've got these long straight lengths, and yes, you get a little bit of variation from finger joint, but not a great deal. But the beauty of the American oak is the grain is reasonably consistent and the color is reasonably consistent. And that means that over a long length, as you can see here, the color consistency is good. But probably more importantly, it's virtually defect free. You're not getting gum vein, you're not getting knots, you're not getting splits, you're not getting cracks. And when you compare this to some of this Vic Ash that I've just showed you here, you can see the differences. The poor quality of the Vic Ash, and believe me, this is going to decrease as time moves on. It's not going to get better. The days of crystal clear Vic Ash lengths are gone. And so the quality of the material is dropping, but the American oak, clear, defect-free, color consistent. The only downside, if you consider it a downside, is the finger joining. But I think from what you can see here, the finger joining looks really good. The consistency looks really good. And probably more importantly, you can't get the lengths that you want in the American oak. So if you need to do a 4.8 meter length, you're gonna have to join two pieces anyway. So if you're going to have to join it, why not just go with a finger jointed product where you get the product in the lengths you want, and then you can work out what recovery you want to get from it. Sustainability in the timber industry is really important. Although timber is a natural resource, it's important when you log a tree that you get maximum return from that tree that you log. And finger joining is a big part of that. If you can imagine the Vic Ash trees that are being milled and supplied into ash at the moment, where you have issues like I've just been showing you with cracks and knots, you don't want that on your staircase. So you end up having to fill the timber, or maybe you're cutting out the defect or throwing away timber that otherwise is perfectly good timber. With this American oak, there's zero waste. The waste is the pieces you just can't use because maybe they're too short, but you're not having to cut defects out because it's defect-free material. So finger joining is really important for sustainability within our industry and to present an option out there that people know is sustainable. So what's the future? Well, for us, the future is in the American oak finger joining. We can supply you, the customer, set 5.4 meter lengths of clear finger jointed material that looks beautiful. You compare that to the Vic Ash, which, as I said, the quality is going to drop over time. The lengths are getting more difficult, and just the overall viability of the timber and the supply is not there. So for us, we're going to still continue to offer Vic Ash into the near future, but we can certainly see a day in the very near future where Victorian Ash is not even going to be a reliable option, and the only option we'll be presenting to the customer is American finger jointed handrail.